Yes, so we have it on video.
Okay.
Okay. So do we have your consent to record the audio and video of this and store it into our archive and website?
Yes, you do.
All right. So why don't we start with just give us your name and your job and your age and what you do.
Sure. I'm Kayla Pelletier. I am a physical therapist with a home health agency, and I'm 31 years old.
All right. So my understanding, I think I have a pretty good one, is that like you travel to people's houses on a day-to-day basis, uh, going uh, like to the elderly and to people getting out of surgeries and stuff like that, and helping them out with their physical therapy because they can't leave the house. Can you give us like a day-to-day of what that's like, maybe before the pandemic?
Um, Before the pandemic, I guess it's really not any different before and after the pandemic. At its core, I mean, basically, I have a list of patients that I need to see every week. I schedule them. I drive out. I call them every morning. Drive out to see them. They're like you said, they're post-op, elderly, neurological conditions, people who can't leave their home, or it's generally considered unsafe for them to leave their home. Um, and we do physical therapy in there, so that's for balance, pain management, strengthening, helping them accomplish whatever their goals are. It could be getting in and out of bed safely, it could be returning to the community. It's very variable as far as the patients we see. Do you want me to compare that to now?
Yeah, it'd be great. Like, is there any like changes in your behavior or the policy at Lemoyle Home Health?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a much more rigorous sanitization process. Um, I personally sanitize my shoes. I don't bring in a lot of equipment anymore. I used to bring in equipment into the homes to help with some of the exercises. I try not to do that. I take a lot less blood pressure. So trying to minimize the amount of things that we touch and that we bring in. And I wear a mask, I wear gloves. That I obviously didn't do that before. And then the patients, obviously being homebound as a rule is a little bit different now. Everyone's homebound, technically. And so what that means is some of the patients who would have otherwise been maybe appropriate to transition to outpatient, because once they get to a certain point, you can kind of encourage them to move on to an outpatient where they can kind of hold on, sorry. Um, Not mean for that to happen. Um, those patients are now kind of lingering on with us a little bit longer because we can't get them. So, for instance, I had a knee surgery. Not that they're doing those anymore, but I was able to hang on to her for a couple additional weeks to provide additional support when I would have normally discharged her to outpatient. So, some of the ways that we think about homebound patients is changing, and also the ways that we have to prioritize our patients is changing, because we're a skeleton crew now. There's a lot less therapists working to try to minimize the number of people that are contacting people. And so we sort of had to decide, schedules were changed a little bit to try to prioritize patients. Um, Otherwise, at its core, the job hasn't really changed, but just sort of a few little things.
Are patients' attitudes different when you visit them?
I would say surprisingly not to the extent that I was expecting. I definitely experienced a decrease in certain patients canceled me indefinitely until the epidemic ended, because of discomfort of people coming to their homes. But I would say that was probably maybe 25% to a third of them. It wasn't as nearly the volume that I was expecting. Most people um, would rather, I mean, it's multifaceted. One, people don't want to go into the hospitals or to their doctors. They would rather have someone come in and see them. That seems to be safer. Two, people are home alone and with no contact. And so a lot of people have told me it's worth the risk to have someone to 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 be there to interact with. And then there's a lot of patients that are just you know opting to take the risk because they want to get better and it's worth it to them to keep pressing forward, and they trust that as medical professionals we're doing the best that we can. So I'd say, I mean, I do talk a lot about the virus with people now. That comes up. That's like all we talk about. I think I spend a little bit longer in houses because people want to talk, but I would say it's only maybe a third of them that kind of bailed on the service.
Are the people that you're seeing, are they more anxious now, or you're saying they're more friendly because of this? They want to talk more about it?
Yeah, I mean, friendly wouldn't be the word, but I think anxious is probably a better word. Yeah, they need to talk. Everyone's feeling a little. I think it affects everyone. I think everyone's anxious, and so there's definitely an element of that. People want to talk about it. The news is always on in every house I go into, just about. So it's very much the focus of everyone's thoughts.
And are you anxious, like maybe just in your day-to-day life, not even at work, from
Oh,
getting
for
sick?
sure. I mean, for sure. Not for me personally, but I can definitely say that it's getting better. I think I'm getting used to this whole process. But the first maybe 2 weeks, I didn't I didn't sleep at all because I was so worried about being the reason that someone got sick. So I'm not as concerned about myself. I don't interact with anyone. I moved here from out of state. I don't have family or that many friends here, so I'm not worried about interacting with people that I care about as much on a personal level. But I definitely lost sleep over the possibility that I could be the reason that someone got sick and be the reason that someone got very, very sick. And so yeah, for sure, got anxious.
So you're worried about getting your patients sick mainly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm
And
doing everything that I possibly can to prevent that. And when I'm not at work, I'm here in my house, very strictly following the guidelines because I don't want to take any risks
so you're
for
not
their sake.
like interacting with too many people when you're not working?
Nobody. Mm-mm. I don't live with anybody, so I'm not interacting with anybody. I go to the grocery store once every week and a half or so. I try not to get everything I need in one go. I try to minimize the amount of times that I'm going into places. I go to check my mail only once a week. Try to keep my contact. I'm doing my laundry in the sink in my bathroom. Just trying to for the sake of my patients, 100%.
Do you think like not interacting with people like outside of work has like impacted you at all, like mentally or anything like that, or emotionally?
Well, I mean, not really, because I'm interacting with people more. I would say it's just not in person. Like I think more people are reaching out to their family members than ever before. Like I said, I'm not from here. I just moved to Vermont about a year ago. We're coming up on a year now. So I would say in my day to day, I wasn't interacting with that many people anyway, because I'm still establishing myself here. So it's not that different for me to have to phone my family. That's how it has been for the last year anyway. So that part's pretty normal.
So you mentioned like, being very cautious at the grocery store. Like, are you very like tense when you're shopping and doing everything? Are you like constantly worrying when you're out and about?
Not so much. I definitely think about. I don't. I'm constantly thinking, don't touch my face, don't touch my face, don't touch my face. But I think that's basically where it's at. I think the 6 foot thing has become very natural now. I feel like I don't have to think about that anymore. Um, and no, I don't feel stressed out at the grocery store. I just try to minimize the amount of time that I go in there. And I'm not like going out hiking or doing any fun things anymore. I guess that's stressful. There's no outlet. That's, I think, the biggest thing, is that we're all very, very stressed, and there's no the old outlets that I used to have for my day-to-day stress aren't available to me anymore. Being able to go out and be out there, be out on the trails and stuff like that. I'm an outdoor recreator, and that's sort of been frowned upon now. So I do that a lot less.
So do you think that's impacted you a lot, like just kind of getting cabin fever, being locked inside when you don't have any outlets?
For sure. I mean, I feel very, I try to remember I'm very, very fortunate in that I'm not locked inside. I get to go out into the world 4 days a week. And so I think that's helpful. I think if I wasn't working, I think it would be a lot worse. Um, but yeah, it's a different, I miss, my normal way of life for sure. I'm definitely feeling a little bit sick of my four walls.
So, looking back at this, is there anything like advice you'd want to give yourself or something you'd like to hear before all this happened?
Um, it's an interesting question. I don't know if there is. I think, um, I've been I think I'd like to give advice to the whole country. We should have tried to take some measures sooner probably and lock it down a little bit sooner. I mean, it was obvious it was coming for us, and we kind of I think we sort of thought it wasn't coming for us, even though it was out. And I think I felt the same way, looking at things going on. I mean, we knew about this since December and looking at it and thinking, well, that's far away. That's China. That's not, that sucks in Italy. Too bad for them. And not really thinking about how it was going to happen here. But I don't know that I've done anything. I don't know that I would have much advice for myself. Um, other than, I don't know. Oh, not really, I don't think. I think I've just been kinda going along with I think I did everything that I wanted to do as far as I'm glad that that I volunteered to work. I don't regret that, and, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
So, is there like anything you'd like to say for the people that aren't taking it as seriously as you are, like people that are kind of continuing their lives as normal?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've had some bad experiences actually, with people being sort of rude about the 6-foot distance thing, and it's getting a little bit less, but, it's and no offense to you, but it's particularly the 20-ish-year-olds age bracket that I seem to be, I get it. That I think, trying to pick a face, um, trying to pick someone you care about who's an at-risk individual and really focusing on that person and understanding that your actions are keeping that person safe, I think is probably helpful. Because for me, the thing that's the real that seals the deal for me is that I have faces that I picture, every time I do anything. Like I have people that I'm trying to protect specifically. And I don't know, I think young people, because they're not as at risk for getting seriously sick, just kind of are viewing this a little bit as a vacation, or at least that's some of what I see out and about. And I think just thinking about it in terms of, who do you want to protect and focusing on that, and remembering that at all times, because that's really what it boils down to. It's less about the individual. Um,
So, you're saying like kind of look at this not only for like a selfish purposes of I want to go and do stuff, but you're also staying healthy because people around you as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and that's the whole point of this thing right now is like this isn't the time to be selfish, and it's going to be short in the grand scheme of everyone's lives. It's going to be short, and it's not. I think being entitled and saying, I deserve to go out and do X, Y, Z. It's just not appropriate right now, and it's for the sake of others more than when you're young and you're not at risk for being really sick. I think you've got to think about it in terms of the grand scheme of things, that you have to keep other people safe, and that's really what it's about. I'm not worried about getting sick or getting well, I'm worried about getting sick. I'm not worried about complications from getting sick. I don't feel that I'm at risk for any for dying or being on a ventilator, but I definitely know people who are, and I don't want to be the cause of that. So I think that's the key, is finding a face and focusing on that person, grandma or whoever.
Yeah. And then as far as like advice for maybe people looking back on these interviews, is there anything you'd like to say to someone that maybe is experiencing a pandemic going on in the future, or looking back on this, anything you want people to know about?
I think that's going to be an easier question to answer when this pandemic's over.
Yeah.
I want to say that it's, it's going to end, it's going to be fine. But we don't really know how this is going to pan out yet, and how soon another pandemic is going to happen. So it's a little bit scary, and I can't really be that confident. But just you know, I, I think appreciating. Um, I think what we're going to get out of this, and I think the focus for the next one is to remember to appreciate. I don't know how to word this. Like there's things out there that are happening right now that are worth appreciating, and I think we need to focus on those things. And it's like there's a kind of a global connection. We're all experiencing this together, even though we're all isolated. And I see that the internet content is really, really great out there right now. And between kind of what is it, like good, feel good stories, but also, I mean, the memes are great right now too. So I think focusing on, like, how it brings us together instead of, how tragic it is going to help kind of lift you through this too. I think that's the memes are pulling me through every day. So and some of the content that people are generating, as far as like I've been following some Instagram live cooking shows now. There's free Zoom yoga classes that I take with a guy that teaches in San Francisco. And if anyone is in a pandemic and they're single, Tinder's on fire right now, absolutely on fire. So there's things. It's cool. We're getting to experience this kind of like global connectivity, and I think we need to appreciate that too while we're stuck in here and feeling down.
Yeah, it also probably gives appreciation to stuff you did before all this happened as well.
Oh yeah,
Or
I can't wait to go sit in a crowded room. I can't even imagine going to a restaurant right now. So yes, I think appreciating the things that we get, the freedoms that we have, um, it's worth thinking about for sure.
right. That's all that I can think of. Uh, is there anything you'd like to tell us, or Jack, do you have any questions?
I think Cooper hit it off pretty well. I was gonna say stuff, and then Cooper just said it. So
Yeah, he did a
Okay.
good job, I think.
Is there anything like else you want to share? What's going on, or
Um, I well, I wish I could. I say for the people that are working to support their local businesses, and I guess this goes for the people in the future pandemics too, because the businesses are really stepping up as far as like the creative ways that they're trying to still stay functioning. And I think if you've got an opportunity to support them, that's a really good thing to do. I can say that. I'm working really hard to keep the donut shop across the street open. So, but we value these businesses in the times that we're functioning normally. And so I think if you've got the ability to do that, and to spread a little money into the economy if you're still working, I think that's a really good thing to do. So hopefully people kind of keep that in mind if they're thinking about, I try to eat out. I don't eat out as much anymore, but every once in a while I like to just give some money to the restaurant that's doing curbside across the street. So just because I want them to be open when this all ends. So
like you're saying, you're kind of worried for like the local businesses as well.
oh,
So
for sure. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I don't have a small business. So glad. There, some of them are doing really well. I can vouch for the pizza shop across the street that they've got cars lined up. They've got a really slick curbside thing going. But there's definitely restaurants and definitely places that are just kind of stalled out now. And I just really hope that it pans out okay for them, because the economy is going to feel weird. It's going to be weird on the backside of this. So, but gas is cheap right now, so that's something.
just a question I sort of just thought up of based off of what you were saying. How do you think is your day-to-day life going to be changing after the pandemic's over? Like, do you think you'll be doing anything differently now that you've been through this, or that you're going to go shop at local businesses more because you want to help them like recover better?
Yeah, and I think so I was a little bit I think I would say my personality is a little bit more introverted and antisocial, and I definitely am like looking forward to making a point to socialize more because I miss people now. Um, and yeah, I would say it's so hard to know because it's going to be a long process, I think, before things are back to normal. So I think it's going to be this like slow, gradiating. That's not a word. You know what I'm saying? Like we're going to titrate ourselves back into this. So I'm not sure. I'm kind of, yeah, I'm definitely going to support my local businesses, is say hi to my neighbors more. I think that's happening anyway, talking, saying hi to people that, from a distance, and trying to connect with people a little bit more. I had a thought and I forgot it. Thinking about germs, I think that's gonna be a new thing for me as far as like how I think about sanitizing and things like that, even in my own profession. I mean, it's obviously we try to stay as clean as we can, but I think I've definitely I'm thinking more about it now, and I think that's a good washing our hands. If we learn anything from this, is that we should wash our hands more. So, and I definitely think I think that's a new habit, just so that, without a thought. So.
Well, I think I enjoyed all your perspectives on things. I think that about wraps it up.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for meeting with us.
No problem. I like to help out projects as much as I can. I did research for grad school. I know what it's like to try to rustle up some people. So.
Yeah, well, you shared a lot. I'm happy to talk with you, and I think that about wraps things up. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you so much again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Good luck with everything. Wash your hands.
Will do.
Bye.